So today's bottom line news segment is, are you guys ready for it?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
If Kanye West needed any more publicity.
I was about, yay?
So CAA, his agency, and like pretty much everyone else's agency, has cut ties with Kanye West after his recent anti-Semitic remarks and some other wild shit that he's had to do. And it's kind of like...
Fake news.
Fake news. Pretty timely, I would say, because he also just made a whole statement about how like Adidas would never drop him if he makes like anti-Semitic remarks, and Adidas did actually drop him as well. And I don't know. I think it's pretty wild.
And I think the sequence was actually opposite. I think the CAA stuff came out, and then Adidas dropped him today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I went through, I found, so you sent this article over, and I went and found a really cool synopsis that had nothing other than a time series of events that Forbes released, just kind of cataloging the last several weeks of things he's done, because I hadn't really been following this.
Chris, I sent you the article. You can pull it up on your end whenever you get a chance.
I haven't been following it very close.
Yeah, neither have I.
And so I was like, well, okay, you know, what's up with this? So I found this synopsis that they published today, since Adidas is now dropping him, and that's another big thing. I guess a lot of his financial
they've got a pie chart already on
leverage comes from that Adidas relationship.
Yeah.
So a lot of his, I think, net worth was something around $2 billion, and a huge piece of that came from the Adidas relationship. And so they had published this time series of like the last, I don't know if it was a month or 6 weeks or something, of just things that have been leading up to this.
Like a week, man.
I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
No, it was longer than that, because I listened to Andrew Schultz release that whole thing. Like
that was a beautiful 60 seconds.
Yeah, he really...
He's on Piers Morgan and said all that stuff. Well, really, what it came down to was the tweet that he made.
Been like 2 weeks,
Billy's right. Billy's right. October 3rd was the first. In this, I mean, he's got it past as being very controversial.
Well, no, that's like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's
so
the
3
22nd.
But yeah, about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was a little long.
So there's the 25th.
But it was a good time lapse of kind of everything from October 3rd till today.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to read kind of that time series of, and this again is not an opinion article. It's just literally a timeline of events.
Yeah.
And they don't say, there's no commentary in the article at all, which I thought was a cool, so decent job on just presenting information, right? But yeah, really wild. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, so I actually don't know the full extent of what he said. Chris, do you have the article there?
He just has one tweet that I read.
But it was an interview that he said.
I saw that.
There's a lot.
I watched that as well. I'm not trying to defend him by any means. Because
just give him your email, Chris.
He broke the cardinal rule of rapping, which is always be
Jewish?
Yeah, I can't think of the word.
Yeah. I was really just where Schultz was at, where it's like, I really just hope he's bipolar.
Well, so
because if he's not bipolar, then I'm just like, wow.
But it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So he's had a very
I'm just
public.
like-
So I went, but he's got a very public thing since 2016, I think, or 2016 or 18, where he's been very open about having bipolar disorder.
Oh, okay.
And he's got, a long history of issues or struggles with being on and off medication for those kind of things. And so this is not a statement about is he on or off medication. I mean, that to me isn't quite, it's hard to say be fair after some of the things he said, right? But that's not the point of what I'm going after, because there's definitely underlying issues. The cool part about seeing that timeline when you're trying to think about this is it definitely feels episodic.
Totally.
Right. So when you see this stuff on a time series and you see it escalate, and I just sent over a link that's that really good timeline to kind of show all the different things.
Yeah, that tweet that he says like a little bit farther down, Chris, that was what was the worst thing, as far as I can tell, and I could be wrong because I don't know the entire scope of this, but he said he did a really bad tweet.
They shut him down on everything.
It also, MRC Entertainment just cut ties with him, who is a company that was producing his documentary. They just wrapped up, so now they're not going to release that.
Yeah, not even a year ago they came out with the genius.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Netflix documentary about him being a genius and everything. I just don't understand like what's happening with him and why.
Well, if he's bipolar like that,
he's going through a bad divorce, I guess.
I think the issues are probably.
He's got 4 kids and everything. That must suck.
Bro, he was on the news back in like 2004 saying that like Georgia George Bush doesn't care about black people. And then, but just the point being that like he also then the whole thing where Beyonce where he comes up and like interrupts Taylor Swift's acceptance speech about.
But then like a month later, he was on Jay Leno, and Jay Leno made him cry thinking about his mom dying.
Because
I just think it's all.
I think these things are episodic as well. I mean,
Yeah.
this just shows the struggle like over time when obviously he's going through very stressful things. I think there's a breakdown in his cognitive function, and if he's not well medicated, any of that stress, and I'm not making an excuse for the behavior. I think the crazy part is one, he's got the freedom to mentally on top of his game or not to say and do those things. What he does not have freedom from is response to those statements.
Right.
So if he feels like those are the things that he needs to communicate, he is free to do that.
Sure,
He
yeah.
is not free from the perception of that. He's not free from the ramifications of that. He's
exactly,
not
bro.
free from what that does to the work that he's done. It affects a lot of different people. It affects himself. I mean, it's really actually sad to see whether you
Tarnishing a legacy.
And what's dangerous about this rhetoric is that like this is the kind of rhetoric that was said.
Did you see the Nazis on
Thank
in
you.
LA
That's just about to say.
that were
No.
on the overpass that were like giving
I
the
did not see
Hitler
this,
salute?
no.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see this.
Chris, if you can pull it up, I'd appreciate it.
But here's a problem because it doesn't take a crowd. It takes a small amount of people to put
Yeah,
forth.
to get bigger and bigger.
And what's dangerous about what Kanye is saying is that this is the kind of rhetoric that a small group of people were saying in pre-World War II Germany.
it's never first of all, it's never okay.
That's what I'm yeah.
It's never okay. There's not an excuse for hate speech, especially. I mean, this stuff is pretty wild. It feels super episodic. It feels really wrong. Hopefully he's getting some kind of professional intervention, whatever that means. But I don't think you can. Like I said, you have the freedom to say crazy stuff if you want.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
you are not free from the repercussion of the crazy things that you say.
100%.
With his kind of influence and his platform, at some point you think somebody would be like, "Come here, buddy, try this jacket on." You're like, "Why are my arms behind my back?" Oh my god! And then like,
there's
Try this jacket
Why does
on.
it tie backward?
why is it tied backwards?
it's a new Adidas fashion.
Jesus.
Thanks for lightening that up because it was getting so heavy for me. I was like, we need to make some clarifying statements here. Like, we are not the experts, and
I am very
course
good
not.
at
This is-
making anybody
thank
smile
you.
in any
Yeah,
situation.
thank you, man, because I needed that.